Hello, everybody. My name is Carl Anderson, and I have chosen to do for my for my book report on technology implications, the country of Sweden and cleanliness. Sweden is the second cleanest country in the world. The main reason I chose this country is because it's the birthplace of my father, who had died when I was very young. So I gravitate to Sweden and learning what I can. Most of my dad's side of the family still lives there, and I am in constant communication with them. So, when given the opportunity to choose a country for this report, Sweden was the first country that came into mind. The other reason I chose Sweden is actual history of the country. There is strong evidence that the Swedish predecessors were migratory Phoenicians, an aggressive refugee boat people who first came from the ancient city of Troy. Along with that, historians believe that Odin was a chieftain that eventually was worshipped in a Viking religion as a god, was founder of an actual city called Asgard, a fortified city called Troy of the North. As a history enthusiast, these facts make Sweden a very interesting country to study. So, how does this translate to cleanliness? Sweden is so good at recycling that for several years it has imported rubbish from other countries to keep its recycling plants going. Less than 1% of Swedish households' waste was sent to landfills last year, or any year since 2011. The environmental quality standards are a type of legal binding policy in, introduced by the Swedish Environmental Code of 1999. These standards were imposed to remedy the environmental impact of emissions, road traffic, and agriculture. This standard was put in place after large deforestation and a large carbon emission. Renewable energy sources account for 48% of Swedish energy. Swedish companies have been known to export their knowledge in bioengineering, wind power, and solar power sectors. They set aside a large amounts of money for these sectors, and when new technologies come out, Sweden is usually in the forefront, and they export their knowledge. Sweden's clean technology sector is comprised mostly of smaller startup companies, and according to Bloomberg Business, Sweden features around 35 clean tech companies that collectively book about $14 billion in revenue. The Swedish government recently set aside 180 million for new clean tech projects, giving these companies funding for the new ideas that they have. Um, Facts about waste in Sweden. In 2016, nearly 2.3 million tons of household waste was turned into energy through burning, around half of all household waste. In 2015, Sweden imported 2.3 million tons of waste from other countries, including Norway, the United Kingdom, and Ireland. Sweden has been burning waste for a long time. The first incineration plant was set up in 1904. Today there are 32 plants. And the heavy metals emissions have been reduced by 99% since 1985, even though Sweden incinerates 3 times more waste today. With this, reason why Sweden's so clean is because it recycles nearly 100% of their household waste. Though they have to, they even have to import waste to have something to burn. This is a true recycling revolution. Swedish households keep separate their newspapers, plastics, metal, glass, electric appliances, light bulbs, and batteries. Many municipalities also encourage consumers to separate food waste, and all of this is reused, recycled, or composted. The renewable energy. Sweden is on target to run entirely on renewable energy by 2040. Last year, 57% of Sweden's power came from renewable, such as hydropower and wind sources, with the remainder coming from nuclear power. The country now plans to tap into its largest potential for onshore wind power in order to make the country completely fossil fuel by 2040. This was a goal set by Swedish Prime Minister at the UN General Assembly last year. Not only that, Sweden has been in the forefront of ocean power. Sweden has steadily increased its output of wind power, and as it has become more efficient. Wind energy is set to replace nuclear energy in the country's power grid. Uh, Four of the country's 10 nuclear reactors are currently being phased out. Nuclear is quite expensive due to the safety regulations and funding for long-term nuclear waste management, among other things. Uh, Renewables such as large-scale wind, on the other hand, are cheaper and cheaper to commission and to run. This, together with the low wholesale prices, will make it less likely that new nuclear power plants will replace the remaining ones when they are phased out due to old age. Um, ocean power, Ocean energy will play a major part of this future, as the need for renewable energy sources will only increase. Together with solar and wind energy, ocean energy provides an alternative to fossil energy, as the energy content in the ocean movement is very large. However, companies today face a lot of technical and economical challenge. Ocean Energy Sweden is a business network consisting of Swedish companies developing products and systems in the area of ocean energy. The network will grow to include suppliers, universities, research institutions, test centers, and others. The main purpose of this network is to increase the interaction and cooperation between companies in the sector of ocean technology, ultimately aiming for cost-effective product systems and commercial projects. Focus will be on networking, joint development projects, and commercial activities. A wave energy plant located in the sea outside of Sweden has been quite successful. This is presenting findings from the experimental facility, in which played a leading role in designing and constructing many others. Next year, the wave power facility in Sweden will be complemented by two more plants and connected to one of the world's first wave energy parks, which will be capable of supplying household electricity to about 60 homes. Here on the slide, we see 6 different prototypes of different ocean power energy supplies that are being developed right now. Um, these will actually be set out in the ocean to collect the wave movements, such as using buoys and other flotation devices. And here is my reference sheet. Now, the reason why Sweden is so clean, just to recap, is they recycle 100% of their waste. They have to import their recyclables in order to burn it and to incinerate while keeping carbon emissions low. They did this because in '99 they saw a need because of deforestation and pollutants they were causing. They've also looked into the future of ocean power as a viable energy source. This, combined with the phasing out of nuclear reactors, has put Sweden on the map as the second cleanest country in the world. Thank you for listening to my presentation.